When we decided that we should have a Directorate of Science, Technology and Innovation, it was because we know that the 21st century is going to be about technology, technology, technology. It is very important for us to have a skilled labor force. I normally say you are not fit for purpose in the 21st century if you do not have quality education. In quality education, an aspect of it is actually having the requisite training, skills, and knowledge to be able to be employed. Development itself is such a complex, complicated issue that it has to be properly informed. We are not only using big data to inform decisions, we are actually mining data, we are doing data analytics, we are looking at blockchain to help us in decision making, and a lot of other things. This is about education for girls. This is the map of Sierra Leone, and the higher these pillars, the greater the number of girls that are out of school. This is the first 3D printer in Sierra Leone. We have to take that quantum leap to catch up with the rest of the world using technologies like this. All development decisions are actually informed by the data we are collecting, and we can actually play around with that data in all its forms, either in print or in physical, to help us make proper decisions about development in Sierra Leone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister present here today, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on existing protocols. First, I bring you warm greetings from the Republic of Sierra Leone. But I'm indeed happy to be here because I know the Cranes are in the knockout stages of the African Nations Cup. I wish you every luck. We are here at the generous invitation of His Excellency General Yoweri Museveni, whose progressive vision of harnessing and integrating African economies ahead of the fourth industrial revolution is truly inspirational. Some would quip that while Europe was inventing the steam engine and building circuit board factories in the second and third industrial revolutions, Africans were still hunting animals with spears and drumming around fires at night and telling stories. Yes, Africans can entertain themselves. Yes, Africans like good food, especially good meat. But that is not the whole truth. Those same European historians will probably not tell you that for hundreds of years, Europeans systematically depopulated Africa of its young into gulags in the New World. African youths produce the raw material that fueled the European industrialization. African minerals and other wealth fueled the next phase of industrialization when the West forcefully dominated and destabilized Africa. In spite of political independence, African nations remain victims of exploitation, recipients of technology, and recipients of products of technology. They participated in the global economy as inferiors. Or as His Excellency the President, Yoweri Museveni, said 2 days ago, as slaves. Africans neither participated in the market of ideas, nor did they invest in the future or lead the technical sectors. The narrative has begun to change since about the year 2000. We have had fewer than 20 years to catch up. But catch up we will, and that is our challenge. Africa has the unique fortune of having an abundance of natural and human resources. With 1.2 billion people, and most of them young people growing up as native technologists, there is suddenly a unique opportunity to lead in generating and translating new ideas through technology and innovation. Africa has a great opportunity at adopting new technologies to achieve unimaginable leaps of the development axis. Artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, blockchain, quantum computing, biotechnology, bioinformatics, 3D printing are some of the technologies changing the global economy, global governance, and even global security. Coupled with rapid automation, these technologies are significantly modifying our existing traditional notions of governance and government, and also development. The advances in science, technology, and innovation are shaping the world faster than many industries and governments can react or have reacted to. They are introducing new possibilities, new efficiencies, and new risks. Countries are now faced with the task of preparing themselves to fully participate in this new global economy. The good news is that the Western countries aren't far along. We are all learning within the same scale, as previous speakers have said. But let us briefly consider the imperatives, why Africa should prepare itself for the fourth industrial revolution. Most of Africa's development challenges have to do with weak institutions, bad or ineffective policies, failures to leverage the possibility of trade, integration, and other forms of cooperation, corruption, including the misuse of national resources, the misuse of aid, illicit financial flows, perceived or rare injustice, including land and property disputes, failures in developing human capital, and failures in public service delivery. Think about the real values of those inefficiencies and losses in monetary terms. According to the African Union report, corruption alone cost Africa upward of $150 billion. Misuse of aid upward of $20 billion. Bad or ineffective policies, billions of dollars. Misuse of resources and illicit financial flows, billions of dollars. Failure to develop human capital, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of future earnings. Added to that, corruption alone increased the cost of investment, the cost of doing business, and it can also foster civil unrest, which is always inordinately expensive. The lack of financial inclusion and inefficient revenue mobilization within countries make it even harder to break the cycle of poverty. Agriculture, small-scale manufacturing, trade, energy generation, infrastructure and city planning, healthcare, immigration, education, social welfare, banking, and even efficient governance are all possible use cases that can benefit from these new technologies. That is why I'm happy to be here today to think, learn, and to imagine with you. Imagine a government blockchain, a peer-to-peer network of decentralized public databases where each transaction is stored in a chain. Whenever data on one node is altered, the change must be validated right across all the nodes in the chain. One is therefore able to audit and trace the changes in the chain, thereby ensuring transparency of records through process integrity and security. As a consequence, that also speeds up transaction while reducing transaction costs. Imagine the possibility and the implications for the fight against corruption or transactions that are never and can never be audited because somebody destroys the paper trail. Clearly, there are many use cases for blockchain and other fourth industrial revolution technologies in a small nation like mine, where we have identified corruption, red tape, and institutional inefficiencies, among others I mentioned earlier as the key barriers to development. So let me demonstrate a few more use cases. One is digital identity and identifier systems. This will facilitate good national budgeting, resource allocation, financial inclusion, adequate catering for public services, and even help cut down on voter fraud during elections. It would also provide reliable demographic data on which policy decisions can be based. Transactions, financial and banking, property, trade volumes, taxes, and land can be recorded and verified in a transparent manner. Healthcare, social and public service, and education records can be also accessed, recorded, tracked, and verified for people, removing third-party costs to recipient, as it is the case in other countries. Governance decision processes and transactions across different government, local and national, can be fully recorded, verified, and tracked. This assured continuity of governance will further strengthen our governance institutions, thereby lowering a number of existing governance threats. While a public blockchain is generally decentralized, I'm aware that some countries like Estonia, Finland have developed a centralized, control, interoperable, and also integrated platform. I recently sent a team in Estonia, e-governance in Estonia. The Estonians have incentivized digitization to a level where there is a lot more efficiency, citizens' participation in governance, and faster public service delivery through secure networks that involve governance and private sector institutions. This is the ultimate goal of any government: service delivery and citizens' engagement, and blockchain holds that promise. There are rare opportunities in 3D printing for data visualization, as you saw over there, modeling, small-scale manufacturing, and medical uses. We just applied a new use case in Sierra Leone, 3D printing for policy decision making. The other day, my team and I used the 3D printer, which you saw, to print a complex display of data representing the distribution of girls who are not in schools in each chiefdom in our country. The 3D printed model was used in conversations with several policymakers who screens or devices could not have presented properly. The Internet of Things can be used to manage smarter grids, secure verification, manage water resources, collect and manage waste, collect tolls, or to manage infrared security. Through the ongoing decentralized and renewable grid projects that are deployed in collaboration with the United Nations, the Ministry of Energy is working with partners to ensure that smart meters serving as Internet of Things sensors give us better insight into the energy demands associated with rural development. Equally, we are using AI for informing our policies in education, identity verification, and healthcare delivery. The uses of the fourth industrial revolution technologies are limitless and extend from innovation in the production of new outputs that can be deployed to development, to supporting agriculture and crop production, value addition, and several other sectors of production. But this transition to digital must be agile, well-directed, and abundantly resourced within a vision that is developed with the people who will benefit from it, within a vision centered in Africa, with a view to what makes us Africans and how we wish to define our place in the fourth industrial revolution. So what should African countries do to prepare? First, there is the overarching policy context. Over the last 2 decades, several countries and regional institutions in Africa have developed policies for information, communication, and technology, e-governance, and digitization. These policies have been domesticated in some countries and now constitute the national digital vision of various governments. In Sierra Leone, the first National Telecommunications Act was developed in 2006, it provided for establishing institutions for the implementation of ICT transformation of Sierra Leone under the supervision of the Ministry of Information and Communication. An ICT policy was developed in 2009, followed by 2017 update that included cybersecurity and e-government framework. Secondly, we know that governments should craft national digitization strategies that are specific to their own development needs. In Sierra Leone, we developed a national innovation and digital strategy involving the government of Sierra Leone as primary stakeholders in collaboration with relevant policy, technology, and research institutions in the public and private sectors. This 10-year vision will be regularly updated as the technology landscape evolves and the activities described in the document are accomplished. This vision will be complemented by a clear strategic set of activities, targets, and work plans across the country. However, we need to develop and align these strategies across our regions and across the continent. Thirdly, Africa has a young population and investing in human capital development through education, healthcare, and food security, we help develop a strong cohort of skilled workers who we drive and careers by offering them full scholarships when they apply to university. Women constitute 51% of our population, and they must be given the opportunity to lead this drive. Also, government must anticipate emerging technology penetration by setting up institutions that can provide leadership for driving the fourth industrial initiatives. In Sierra Leone, I set up a Directorate of Science, Technology, and Innovation in the Office of the President, and is headed by a young MIT Harvard scientist and inventor. The objective is to make Sierra Leone an innovation nation, a nation where agile, exploratory, and research-driven startups and initiatives led by young people can experiment at the appropriate scale. We aim to encourage entrepreneurship by incentivizing the creation and use of new opportunities. Furthermore, government must also invest in infrastructure that supports the fourth industrial revolution, including electricity generation and ICT penetration and access to connectivity. In Sierra Leone, an initial national fiber backbone infrastructure was developed to connect various regions of the country via an international consortium of development partners, government, and the private sector. Internet penetration and access is improving. Additionally, government must study best practices and use cases in peer countries and other countries that have successfully deployed fourth revolution technologies and see what to adopt for specific development contexts. Finally, government must be attentive to the regulatory and legal gray zones around data governance, data security, data transfer, data storage, and data access. Often, this would not involve writing entirely new laws. We cannot regulate the technology, but we can build safe framework that allow equity and security in the use and application of technology, as has been already alluded to by one of our panelists. We are a small nation in West Africa working hard to do big things with science, technology, and innovation. We are trying to catch up with the rest of the world, the developed world, by taking advantage of technology. So let me use this opportunity to invite all of you to come to Sierra Leone, to seed your ideas, deploy prototypes, and scale the many wonderful ideas you will learn and develop as this very amazing conference continues. Thank you, and I wish you a successful deliberation.